Welcome to the Breakthrough Podcast with your host, Reba, a podcast motivated to help survivors of trauma heal and focus on their full potential.
Welcome back to another edition of the Breakthrough Podcast. Ooh, guys. Today is a snow day for me and my kids. So, because I work in schools, we out for the day. Hey, luckily I still get paid. So, I am enjoying the snow. I'm recording from my room today. I recorded last week from my room, but the other week before I recorded from the front room. I like where my living room is, but the way my husband's desk is, it doesn't get the light very well. So I have to come in my room because my room gets the great light. Now, as you see, my room walls are plain on the inside. I got to fix that. But whatever. With that being said, it is Love Month. I hope you guys listened to my podcast last week. I got some amazing things that's happening that God is doing. He's showing up and showing out in my life right now. So I am so at peace and so happy. So right now, technically what I'm doing is transitioning. I'm transitioning from my old job, my current job, to another job. Y'all know, y'all girl, don't stop. When I have a goal set in mind, I do anything and everything to try to attain that goal. So that's what I'm doing. And God is showing out for me. I must tell you, He's showing out. I am still on my journey of being a life coach. I'm still on my journey to be a speaker. And this is where what I'm doing right now with the education. God is opening doors so I can be a speaker in these places. But you got to take baby steps. So you got to take the steps to maneuver where you want to be. So this is what I'm doing. I'm transitioning prayerfully from elementary school to a college. So that's what I've been doing, or in the education arena, wherever God is taking me. But I believe that God is opening up these doors, and I'm so excited. I'm so happy because I stay faithful to listen to Him about what I should be doing in my life. I want His will to be done. So with that being said, we're just going to go right into the podcast. It is Love Month. Of course, I'm going to talk about my story. Now, usually on Love Month, I usually do the love languages, which I might still do because I've been teaching my son about love languages. But I've noticed over the last couple of months, a lot of people don't know or don't realize or whatever. And I'm sure my listeners and my podcast listeners know. I am married. I am married again. It's coming up on a year. A lot of people don't know that. My husband is very, 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 very private. So, and being respectful to his privacy and everything else, we didn't really release that we was married until later. And so it's coming up on a year. We'll be married in March. So, of course, why would not give my love story? Most people don't know how we met. Our close friends and family do. And so I'm here to tell you my love story for Love Month because that is my baby. I told y'all probably back in November or December, that's my person. And I really feel like that's my person. I've been explaining to my son why me and my husband's story aligns. And I was telling him that, yes, I've been married for, as you guys know, my listeners know. I've been married for, nothing against my ex-husband. But I feel like my husband now is my person. So, backstory. Me and my husband were best friends. Okay? We were best friends before we started. He was a part of my journey, a part of my life it's going on 12 years. So, he's been part of my life for 12 years. He was always my homie. He was always the person that you just talk to, just, confident. The reason why we actually got connected and got a connection with each other as friends, truly friends. And when I say friends, we were truly friends. It wasn't nothing behind the scenes. who was truly friends. And this is why I recommend everybody. And I wish I would have did this earlier in my past, having a friendship first, before having a relationship. But that is what it is, a real friendship. So, make a long story short, we was truly friends. I've met him through my old church that used to be in part of Chicago, and I met him through. We both was working. I was just working like an assistant, trying to help out with church and doing some ministry. He was actually working a job, and he was like the producer of the show that my old church, was doing. And so that's how we met. He initially first asked me for a date, and then I turned him down because at that time I was dating. I was in the beginning stages of dating my ex-husband. We wasn't even together probably a year, but I just wanted to be fair. So, I was in the beginning stage, so I turned him down. He ended up finding out I had a cleaning business. So he ended up being my client, a very good client. And then, because he needed me, because he travels a lot, still got the same schedule that man travels. So he really needed me as a client. I mean, I needed him as a client, but he needed me as a housekeeper to clean his house. So this one, I had my cleaning business back in Chicago. So I did that. That's actually what transformed our relationship and our friendship. From there, he was a help for my first book I wrote. He knows so much because of what he does behind the scenes. My husband is a director, a producer, you name it, with cameras and everything else. It's hard to describe his job, truthfully, because he does a lot. He is the background producer of this podcast. He does. If you listen to the beginning of the podcast, that's him. If you watching it on YouTube and all the stuff that's coming in the beginning, that's him. He does everything. So, why not? So, pretty much around that time, so we just became real close. Then when I moved to Wisconsin, he was like one of my only closest friends that actually came out here to see me, see the place, see where we lived, everything else. Make a long story short on that, I went through my divorce years ago, and he was there. He would not let me be depressed. He would not let me be sad. He would not let me. And this was like probably like the third time he literally watched me go through something detrimental, that it was just like he was just always there. He is the kind of person that helps when you may need that person that nobody knows. Like, I need that person. This man drives people to colleges, they family members and friends. There's times where he'll call me from the church, he on his way home, and he had to take somebody all the way out the way and then come back home. That's just who he is. He's always going to be that person. That's a little hard and challenging when you're in a relationship, because at the same time, not because you don't know who that person is, but because it's like, okay, that's my husband. Sometimes I do want to be selfish. I do. I must admit, because he's amazing. But I share my husband with the world. I remember saying that on our wedding day to my aunt and uncle. Like, I don't think people must understand that I share my husband with the world. Somebody that's highly in demand. He's really good at what he does. Okay. With all the jobs that's under his head, the man is amazing at what he does. So to watch him work, I love watching him work because it's so sexy, but it's so enlightening to watch him do what he do it with a passion. He doesn't shortstop. He was actually the first person that encouraged me. First of all, he's the one that paid for my photo shoot, my first professional photo shoot years ago. He was actually the first person that encouraged me after the photo shoot that we got to do these like live videos or whatever to be funny, to be on here, to be comfortable with you. He pushed me so he couldn't push me no more. I was just like, oh my God, he's really serious. And the stuff he was doing for me, mind you, was for free. But he would not let me shortstop myself. Like, I remember the day he's here. He brought all this production equipment and set my front room up and my living room up at the time. And he was just not. We was working, I promise you, from the afternoon to the night. I was so tired, and we still had videos. By the way, I still need them videos, but for my coaching business, because we was doing videos for my coaching business because I was just starting it. So he did that, and it was like he pushed me. He was just like pushing me and pushing me and pushing me, like, you gonna do this, you gonna do this, you gonna do it the right way. And I'm like, I didn't think he was gonna be this serious, but I appreciate that now. I appreciated it then, but I definitely appreciate it now, because I promise you, I won't be doing what I'm doing now. Secondly, okay, so let's go back around to this time. I went through the divorce and everything else, and he was there. It got to the point where I was talking to my dad, my spiritual dad. You guys know. And my dad was like, "You talk about him a lot. You talk about him a lot," because I was just always talking about him. William this, William that. Y'all know my husband's name is William. So William this, William that, William this, William that. And my dad was like, "You in love with that man?" And it didn't click until my dad said it. So my husband at that time, my dad at that time was asking me. He was just like, you in love? You in love with him?" And I'm just like, "Did you tell him?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not." And he like, "Yes, you is." It got to the point where so my second book, I came out with a second book around the time the ending of my divorce, and about my autobiography. So I had sent it to my dad, and I actually put William's name on it. And so that's when my dad called me one day, like, "You're really in love with this man. You put his name on my book." Like, I put the right address and everything else. I guess he was on mine. And I was just like, okay. So when my dad put it in my head, that it was just like, "You need to tell him." I'm sitting there like, oh, maybe I am. So then when I thought about him and I thought about all the things about him, I was just like, oh my God, he is my person. He is my dream guy. He is a sweetheart. He's a teddy bear. He is just wonderful. He is amazing. He's a man of God. It just was like everything about him was just like, yes, yes, yes. He's who I need. Okay. I think a lot of times when we get in relationships, we forget that the person that we want is actually who we need. And if we don't need them, that may be a problem. No, he's who I need and who I want. So that's how I felt at that time. So he said, "You might as well tell him." So around that time, me and William used to have these things where, like, if we wanted to kick it or go out or something like that, we'll text each other like, "What you doing? What you doing this day? What you doing that day?" Or he just had the free will to call me and say, "You want to chill? I'm coming out there, whatever." So this one day, and I have to backtrack because there's a story in between. I can't remember if that happened after or before. It happened before. We had a thing with this watch. I still got the watch in my drawer. Backtrack before this time. So I had a watch. It was a little like cheap Apple Watch that I got off of Amazon around that time, and it's pink. And it kept breaking. So one day he was over here and we were just visiting, and I asked him, no. I kept telling him about the watch, like, this watch keep on breaking. I brought it to him. He was like, "I bet you I could fix it." Now, let me tell y'all, my husband is a cutie pie, but he a little slick. Okay. So this is what it kind of confirmed to me a little bit, that our feelings were mutual. But I didn't think about it this hard. So I think it happened. Yeah, I think it happened before, because this was the start. The watch broke. He says to me at that time, "If I fix this, you have to give me a kiss." I'm like, okay. I don't know why I said okay. Whatever. I didn't have the courage that he was going to fix it anyway. So it wasn't like a big thing for me to think that he was going to fix it. So I was just like, okay. Why he fix that watch? And he fixed it in like less than 30 seconds. And I was like, and I'm telling you, I was trying to fix that watch for days. He fixed it in less than 30 seconds. So of course, I don't back down for a bet. That's just me. And so I went over there. We was in the kitchen, and I think my son was downstairs getting some groceries out the car or whatever. And I leaned in and I kissed him, but I thought it was gonna be like a peck. Oh my goodness, guys! See, I love you don't know the story. I never told the story. So whoever listens to this podcast, hey, guys, when he leaned in and we did kiss, it was amazing. And it was just beautiful. And it was just stars and everything you could think of. It was just like, but it caught both of us off guard because we really was like, okay, did that supposed to happen? you know, it didn't supposed to feel like that. So that was the start of it. So I think around that time when my daddy asked that, I think that's why I kept on saying his name because I probably kept on thinking about the kiss. I can't remember exactly, but I think that's what it was. So I did tell my dad and whatever. He said, "Well, just tell him." So make a long story short, go back to the story. I called him, said, what are you doing this day? I always remember this day because we have this song called Wednesday Lover, and it was a Wednesday. He always worked at his church on Wednesdays. So I went to his church. I told him I would go out to lunch. I got something to tell you, but I need to talk to you and let's go chill, all this other stuff. It ain't no big deal with him. He just probably felt like I was talking about anything because I literally talked to him about everything. So, um, I drove all the way out there. The whole time I'm driving out there, now manager, this is like an hour and 20, hour 30-minute drive. I'm nervous. I'm scared. I'm like, I don't know what he's gonna say, how he's gonna respond. I just got out of a marriage. What I'm saying, I don't want him thinking anything, blah 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 blah. Even though I know him, it's still you have this nervousness about how he gonna view me though. Even if we're best friends, you know. How he gonna view dating a woman with 2 kids and an ex-husband, all those thoughts. So I just was like, okay, I'm just going for it. One thing about me, let me tell y'all, one thing about me, I go for the hardest thing. That's just me. I have to try the hardest thing. If I feel like I want it and I desire it, you gonna have to turn me down 10 times for me not to get it. That's how adamant I am. Okay. So I drove all the way out there and I was just like, okay, let me tell him. This whole time he's showing around the church because I've been to the church before, but I ain't never been where I could see everything. So he's showing me around. I am stargazed, like looking up at this man like, oh, I do. It was like, I guess, finally seeing him that day, the reality was like, oh, you are in love with him. It like connected and clicked. And I was just like, oh, okay. I guess I am. It was just looking at him, listening to him talk, listening to him talk about the job, listening to him talk about the church, and I was just stargazing at him. Now imagine by this time, he's knowing something is going on because I'm literally staring at him like, oh, you're the man of my dreams. Literally. That's how I was feeling. That's how I still feel. That's why I feel like he's my person. Because he's everything, truthfully. Let's go back. He's everything that I'm not. Okay? His soft side. My husband has more of a softer side, a more sensitive side. I'm more rougher. He brings the softer side out of me. He has a forgiving spirit. He has not forgiving spirit, I'll say that, because he has a lot of things he had to deal with trauma-wise, but I'm talking about meaning forgiving to the point of fact of you can tell him who you are and he's just not going to judge you. And us being best friends, I told him some details of some stuff in my past and my history. He just never really judged me for it. Never heard about it. Never brought it up. That's just who he is. So, his soft side is what I needed. It's more of, okay, that's who you are, or I feel like too with him, he needed that woman as a challenge to push him, to push his drive, to push his encouragement, to, because I'm an encouraging woman. I'm going to encourage anybody because, of course, that's what I do. I'm help. It don't matter if it's man or woman, but I'm going to push you. Sometimes I'm going to push you a little bit too much, so don't get it twisted. But um, that drive to keep on going and everything goes. So that's what actually connects us. Okay. So back to the story. That story actually led to I ended up telling him, we kissed, end up holding hands, going out to lunch, talking about everything. So let's go through the whole dating phase. I'm going to make this a long story short because it is. This was not easy to date me. Now, mind you, I am a recently divorced wife. Um, it's not easy to date me. I have trust issues. I have trauma issues. I have things you have to deal with. I have to have reassurance. I have abandonment issues. I still deal with abandonment issues now to this day. So he is going through some ups and downs, some roller coaster, some hoops, because I need reassurance. I need reassurance. I need reassurance. I need reassurance up and down. And it's not because he couldn't handle it. It's because I didn't want to mess this up the second time around. Secondly, I just knew that my best friend, that's my best friend. That's my homie. If anything, I wouldn't want to lose a relationship with him as our friendship before our marriage. Okay? So, okay. And he knows that I got his back. Like, I watched people throughout the years take advantage of him, use him, everything else. Our relationship is not perfect because a lot of people will be thinking, like, oh, people, no, not by means. It's not. But I feel like this. Sometimes when you lose people, you can't replace them. Some people are not replaceable. I'm just going to tell you that. Now, I do believe that God presents a ram in a bush. If you do not know what you have, or the other person don't know what they have, and then you stand faithful, you're standing in it and everything else, and God says, I'm going to present a ram in a bush, meaning I'm going to present a placement because my daughter or my son needs to be taken care of the way I want them to take care of. And if you misuse or abuse that, I do think God replaces that person. Don't get me wrong. But I also do think, even with seeing that, some people are not replaceable. You cannot replace somebody's energy. You cannot replace that connection. You cannot replace that love. You cannot replace that person, even in death. Okay? So, with that being said, I knew at that time too that my husband is a lover. So he desired love. He wanted love. He never really had a real relationship that loved him. And so he was love. You know, he just didn't know how to portray that, carry that. But it's the conversation that we have. He is love. And so during our process of dating, I reassure and make sure a lot of things before we even got serious. There has been times I've told him, you can back off, you can leave if you want to. I understand this is too much. I was going through so much with my ex-husband from drama, and then I had to deal with my son's father drama. It was just a lot. And I was like, you don't have to deal with this. You can't leave. Because at that time, I was vested in, but I don't want to send nobody to do that. It's just like, I don't want to get nobody that got a whole bunch of drama from their baby mom, baby daddy, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's just too much. Okay? We're going to have to deal with our own marital drama as it is, our own relationship drama. So, and we didn't have any while we was dating. We had our ups and downs of trying to get to know each other as mates, boyfriend, girlfriends, mates, spouses. We had those. But it wasn't really drama. It was, trying to get to know each other, trying to figure out some things, trying to figure out his work schedule, trying to figure out how, he's dating me. And he really, really dated me when we was dating. So I loved it because he really treated me like this princess, this lady, this queen. There were times that I didn't have to worry about certain things. I was on a conversation with him, and this man had something delivered from my house from Amazon just because I've come home to roses in my house, and I would come home to surprises and everything else. So it's just like he thought before. He was always one step ahead in the game while we was dating, to the point of fact, if I said I wanted something or I needed something, whatever, there was times he came up to my job, my old job, and he take the car, put gas in, and when it snowed outside, he made sure that I had this and that. It was just, he was on two, he was ahead of the game. So it was like a lot of reassurance that in the dating phase that he was the one for me. He is my person. So I said all that to say, because I'm gonna have to cut it off in a minute. But I said all that to say, once you have that partner, that person, y'all gonna go through some things. Because literally, me and my husband going through some things right now. But you gotta understand, it's gotta be worth the person, and he's so worth it. And I say this to the ladies. That's why I tell my single friends all the time. Stop being so eager to get married. God. And I've only been married once. Well, before this, I'm married now. But stop. So eager to get married unless it's really, really the person that God has sent to you. Now, mind you, during the dating phase, we both asked the Lord. We had our accountability, people coming in, trying to make sure, which was my spiritual father, make sure we was on the right track, holding us accountable. So we did a lot of work before the marriage or whatever. But I should say, just stop being so eager to not be in your singleness and date yourself. Love yourself. Get to know who you are before you can say I do to somebody. Because I promise you, saying I do to somebody is a whole told meaning. It takes you on another journey that it's such a selfless marriage. Is so beautiful, but it's a selfless act. It's not something that you just can walk away from. It's not something you just can give up on. When you say I do, that you in that thing spiritually and physically. The state recognizes it. So it's like, it's not easy. I wouldn't wish divorce on my worst enemy, okay? Because I've been through it before. So when you find that real person, now I'm not saying that everybody don't divorce, because divorce for abuse, yes. You're divorced for other reasons, repeated actions, all that. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to say, don't, just make sure you are whole. And I don't mean you all the way healed, but you whole before you try to be whole with somebody else, because the two become one and y'all are one. So his problems are your problems are his problems. Yeah. Okay? When my husband took this weight loss journey, his weight loss was my problem. If I couldn't be at the doctor, I'm on Zoom with him while he's at the doctor. When he had the heart stuff, I had my stroke, he was there. When he had the heart stuff and high blood pressure and pre-diabetic, I was there, even if I was on Zoom. Their problems are your problems. So just to make sure you're not too eager to just jump and get married and just say you married, that you didn't do the work. Because I promise you, I'm going to tell you this now, it is more work in a marriage to keep somebody. It's not I do and then, okay, I got them, it's over. It's more work in the marriage now to keep somebody. I said all that to say, I hope you enjoyed my love story. I hope this is a powerful, impactful to you. Share it if you like it. I will be back next week. And happy love month. Happy Valentine's Day, because Valentine's Day is Friday. So that's why I gave you my love story. And happy Valentine's Day is also my engagement of the 17th, because I got proposed last year. It is also my engagement anniversary. So happy Valentine's Day to the loved ones. I don't care if you don't have nobody to love. Love on your children, love on your mom, love on somebody on Valentine's Day. I said all this to say, see you next week. Deuces. Bye.